Hello everyone with Ascendant Libra. I'm Krasia Tasio and this video is about the year 2020 and what the sky will bring to the people who have Ascendant Sidereal Libra. Now Sidereal Libra is the astronomical Libra, is the astronomical rising sign. If you follow in modern astrology or Western tropical modern astrology, then most probably you recognize yourself as Ascendant Scorpio. So if so, then this video is for you in case that you recognize yourself as Ascendant, according to the modern astrology, as Ascendant Scorpio or Sidereal Libra. Tropical Scorpio, Sidereal Libra. Now, this video will be about what are the most important configurations on the sky in the year 2020 and what they will bring you, in what kind of possible events these particular configurations on the sky will result for you. Now, here is a very important note to make, that this is, of course, very general reading, really very general, because everyone's horoscope is very much unique and only one. So if you like to know how these celestial events will influence on personal level, your very personal life, your very personal horoscope, then you can contact me for personal consultation, and my contacts are under this video. So what am I looking at? Now I'm looking at, of course, the most important transits, the transits of the heavy planets like Saturn in particular, because this year is the most important, because this year, end of January, Saturn is entering his own sign of Capricorn. And this is very, very important. And in particular for Ascendant Libra, this is particularly important because Libra is the so-called hidden place, like the place of exaltation of Saturn. So you're very much connected to Saturn, Saturnian features. So Saturn entering in January 30, his own sign of Capricorn, is a very, very important event for you. Now, of course, how exactly this will manifest, how exactly this will influence you, is encoded in your own chart, because Saturn is a diurnal planet. It depends whether you're born at night, whether you're born in the day, what kind of aspects Saturn is making. So these are, of course, details, and on this in particular will in detail could be said what kind of events exactly Saturn will bring you. But in general, Saturn is entering your fourth house, and I will explain in a moment what does this mean. So also we're looking, of course, at important heliacal phases. What are the phases? The heliacal phases, these are the phases in relation to the sun. For example, when a planet is too near the sun, the planet becomes invisible, and then there will be this first appearance of the planet when it becomes visible. And this first appearance, also, of course, the invisibilities, but also the first appearance after the planet was hidden in the rays of the sun, this first appearance is very important and was considered very important according to the ancient world astrologers, because this always results in events. So this is also what I'll be looking at. Also retrograde, stationary planets, and finally we'll be looking at eclipses. This year we'll be having 6 eclipses, only one total solar eclipse, and these 6 eclipses, of course, are very important. Now, they're not dramatic, but because every year we have from 2 to 7 eclipses, so we know what eclipses cause. We are experiencing all the time what they mean, but these are typically not auspicious celestial events, and it's good to know when they're happening, where they're happening in your horoscope, and what they mean. So this would be the main celestial events. We cannot look at everything naturally, because every day celestial event is happening on the sky, but we will look at the most important tendencies so that you make use of them. So let's start now with Ascendant Sidereal, Ascendant Libra. I have a list of celestial events, Sidereal, Ascendant Libra, and or tropical Western astrology, you recognize yourself, as I said, as Scorpio. Now, what is happening? I mentioned the first and most important, which I would consider the most important event of the year 2020, is 30th of January, when Saturn is entering his own sign, Capricorn. What is this meaning? Yes, I said Saturn is very important for you. He's exalted on your ascendant. He loves your ascendant. You are connected very much with Saturn. Saturn is, imagine, every once per 30 year entering his own sign. He was like traveling around the zodiac, and finally the big lord is coming back home to bring justice. He brings justice in his house, seeing what the situation is, and it is according to the nature of the house where he's bringing. And with you, this is the fourth house. And fourth house, it is about your home, it is about parents, it is about relocation, it is about real estate, it could be about work at home, it could be about end of life, it could be about family matters, family relations, it could be about justice in relation to court cases, arrangement of cases. And all this may happen when Saturn becomes visible on your fourth house. What is this meaning? He's entering Capricorn, which is your fourth house, indeed, on 30th of January. But he, at that moment, will be very near the sun, because the sun at that moment will still going to be in Capricorn. And Saturn will be hidden in the rays of the sun. But then on 1st of March, Saturn is having his first visibility. He is becoming visible for the first time on 1st of March. And then you may expect events to follow as a result of his first appearance. His first appearance could bring events. This would say that this could be a little bit of sensitive period, a bit too much felt, too intense, because he will be like, he wants to emphasize on something, he wants to appear, and he's in his own home, and it was invisible, like he was maybe only in inspecting, but now he wants to say his word, he wants to bring justice. Remember, he's the Lord of truth, high moral values, he's the Lord of tears, he's the Lord of the karma. He's the Lord of time, he's the Lord of discipline. And according to how we do, whether we're disciplined, whether we maintain high moral values, well, this can be seen through the position of Saturn in our charts, but still there is always time to learn. So it depends on our personal attitude, behavior, emotional status, spiritual level of spirituality, depends how what Saturn will manifest in our lives. So, in what way the events will arrive. In any case, his first appearance on 1st of March, 7 days before, 7 days after, can be a little bit noisy. This would say be cautious, inspect things that are happening around yourself, see and be very diplomatic, disciplined, organize very well your documentation, things at home, your office, your home, your behavior, your belief system. It's all about this. In the very same moment, on the 30th, of January, Jupiter, when Saturn enters his own sign, Jupiter becomes visible in his own sign of Sagittarius, which is your third house. And now remember that Jupiter entered Sagittarius, sidereal Sagittarius, on the 30th, end of November. I forgot the date, end of November somewhere. He entered Sagittarius, which is your third house. But then shortly after that, in December, he became invisible, hidden in the rays of the sun, again, like Saturn. But then on the 30th of January, the sun is already leaving the vicinity of Jupiter, and he can become visible for good. This is beautiful. He is becoming visible in your third house to create opportunities to travel, to communicate, to renew your studies if you need to, or to start new studies, or to start studying, or to improve relationship with siblings, or to have lucky opportunities in trade and communication. So this is a very beautiful placement. Can make you realize philosophical truths, religious beliefs, can be very good and very spiritual. This particular heliacal rise of Jupiter on your 3rd house. And then on 4th of February, Venus on until 1st of March, from 4th of February until 1st of March, Venus is entering to your 6th house where she's in exaltation. So this is very nice. Exalted Venus on your 6th house can help improving health, fixing issues with health, fixing issues with subordinates, improving your work environment. And after that, on 1st of March, she's entering, yes, 1st of March, she's entering your 7th house, where she's detriment, but on the 7th house, she can bring peace in your private life in relation to your romantic relations, so she could be helpful there a lot. And this is up until 28th of from 1st of March to 28th of March. On the 7th house, she can have a very interesting role, like to restore the peace at home with your romantic partner. So this can be something very nice. And then on the 23rd of March, Mars is entering into the sign of Capricorn, where he is exalted. So you can see the two big lords are meeting. Saturn and Mars exalted, and Saturn already at home. This is a bit of a tricky period when you may need to be cautious. While Mars will be conjoined with Saturn, because this period, like approximately from mid-March to end of March, this is not very auspicious conjunction, could create some conflicting and disharmonious relationship at home, or in relation to court cases, or in relation to real estate. So wait a little bit, this period passes, just be patient, very diplomatic, very well organized. This particular aspect is also bringing a practical approach, like people can become very structured. So it's not that bad, but still it's a little bit tricky. And then what we're having on for a few days only, we have Mars, Jupiter, Pluto conjunction on, this is happening on your 3rd house. Well, this is about, again, time that may not be very auspicious to travel. It is only a few days, and can be very interesting in terms of spiritual events that can follow up in your life. And then we're having, in April, the Sun entering your Descendant, which is his exaltation point. And this is beautiful, can bring new energies. Yes, I got interrupted. So the Sun is entering your 7th house, which is very good, auspicious for your relationship. Could be good for just new energies in every agreement, or with friendships. And this could be something very good in April. And then we're having very interesting celestial event, which I will summarize to be happening around 15th, mid of May. And this is that Saturn becomes stationary, and then shortly after that retrograde. Jupiter becomes stationary, and then shortly after that retrograde. And then we're having Venus also stationary, and then shortly after that retrograde. And this is actually not very harmonious phase of the planets, because everything will be slowed down. Things around family, things around real estate, around travel and spirituality and communication, all these things, even the love life of people will be a little bit, and also with you, because your ascendant ruler is Venus. And this is a moment when it's starting, I said, mid of May, and I'll tell you when this is ending, when things on the sky will be a little bit slowing. Your business may be slowing down. It's not a no. It's not that things will not happen, but you may need to be repetitive. You may need to recheck, double check, triple check things. You may need really, if you're disciplined, to be more disciplined. If you will be analytical, to be more analytical. If you need to be patient with people you love, you need to be even more patient now, and I'll tell you until when. So I'll continue with detail around these retrograde phases. On 30th of May, Venus is retrograde, but becomes also invisible. And Venus is very important. Venus is your ascendant ruler. When your ascendant ruler is invisible, people become more introvert. They desire sometimes more self-isolation, or to concentrate into internal affairs. They would become more delicate, if you want, more sensitive. They can orient themselves more towards artistic work and work of beauty, but this is not very auspicious for the love life. In some cultures, during the invisible phases of Venus, people are not getting married even, because this is not auspicious for the love life, not promising. So Venus is retrograde and invisible from 30th of May until 16th of June, is appearing in your sign of Taurus. This appearance of Venus in your sign of Taurus in your 8th house is good, because this could bring unexpected finances through partnership, or unexpected finances in general. And then on 28/06 June again, Jupiter, being retrograde, is entering again his sign of Sagittarius, but is becoming direct quite far in his own sign on the 17th of September. Up until 17th of September, Jupiter is retrograde. It's not a big deal when Jupiter is retrograde, but he makes us reanalyze our belief system, moral system, system of philosophical beliefs, what we've studied, what we've learned. We may need to reanalyze it, especially with you when this is your 3rd house ruler. And then on 14th of September, Mars is entering your descendant, where he's ruling. He can bring some sudden events in relation to your private life, because he's like, he's always sudden. Mars is Mars, and he's entering your 7th house, where he's a ruler, so he's not bad. But there you may experience that things are becoming fast, that you need to be patient with people that you love to a degree, yes. And then in the 10th of October, finally Saturn is turning direct. 10th of October, Saturn in your 4th house in Capricorn is becoming direct. And when he's direct, the things will go back to normal, because he is the one who can slow indeed everything. And the 4th house is, if this is for you the lower meridian, if this is an axis, that he can pretty much slow everything that is happening in your life. Slow, not deny, but he can be really slowing people's lives. And a very, very important, beautiful, significant event we're having on the 28th of July, Mercury is becoming visible, heliacally visible, on your 9th house in his own sign of Gemini. And this is event which I've been waiting for a very long time, for the creation of powerful Mercury talismans. Mercury talismans is for what? For improving knowledge, for eloquence, for money, for communication skills, for commercial luck and skills. So, and with you, this is the 9th house ruler is Gemini, and when Mercury is becoming visible in the sign of Gemini, this will be 28th of July. I will be consecrating Mercurian talismans. I've been waiting for this date very long time, and you can see link to my talismans under this video. And then we have another very, very interesting event. On 28th of August, Pluto-Jupiter conjunction are making opposition to Venus. And Venus at that time will be also on your 9th house in the sign of Gemini. And actually, this particular conjunction opposition to Venus can be very interesting, because it is something that can bring a bit exaggerated costs, but can also be very spiritual, can be very intense in terms of depth, because when Pluto and Jupiter are together with opposition to Venus, these are very deep emotions, very deep knowledge of the occult. And then we're having on 14th of November, Mars is becoming direct. He was also retro in your sign of Pisces. And this is, there he's peregrine, not very harmonious. But when he comes in your sign of Pisces, which is your 6th house, around this timing of his direct appearance, could be that he straightens things up in relation to your communication with subordinates. He can bring some intense activities and events in your routine, but be a little bit diplomatic and not very impulsive. And very important, beautiful event on 18th of November until 12th of December, Venus is entering your ascendant. To stay there from 18th of November to 12th of December, Venus will be on your ascendant to bring blessing, to bring luck, to improve your private life, your relationship, to just bring blessing, help you in everything to be solved. And then after 12th of December, she'll be also on your 2nd house. She's detriment, but she will be helping financially and health-wise. And finally, on 25th of November, Jupiter is entering the sign of Capricorn, which is your 4th house, where he's detriment, but this is a good placement for your chart in particular, because from there he will be aspecting your ascendant, aspecting the descendant, aspecting your career. So this could be something auspicious, Jupiter on your 4th house. I see this as a very good placement of Jupiter, who for 1 year will bring luck for you at home and at work. After he enters in 25th of November, your 4th house, he will be there until somewhere in November 2021. So this is something that is very, very nice. So these are the most important celestial events. As I told you, we can't look at each and every event, but having Jupiter on the 3rd house for 1 year, aspecting your ascendant, aspecting your descendant is very nice. But this will be like a blessing to you, improving your spiritual development, improving your relationship, communication with people abroad, traveling if you want. And Capricorn on your Capricorn 4th house and Saturn there can be also something very productive in relationship to matters that you need to solve for real estate, for home, for court cases, can bring stability into your house, or not very much, depending on how Saturn is placed in your natal chart. I'm giving you just the case scenario, which is a little bit general. But as I told you, everyone's horoscope is unique. So these were the most important celestial events, which look very good for Ascendant Libra. And the year will be finalized very well, finally, with your Ascendant ruler entering your Ascendant, which is Venus. And when now summarizing, I want to summarize with the eclipses, which this year will be 6. They luckily will not be influencing your ascendant axis, neither your 10th, 4th house axes. They will be all partial eclipses. Only one is total, and it's a solar one. So the first one is happening on 10th, 11th of January, and it's partial lunar eclipse, and it's happening on the axis of Gemini, Sagittarius, which is your 9th, 3rd house axis of spirituality. Around this period, maybe it's not very appropriate to travel. The period of 1 month after the eclipses. And then you're having partial lunar happening on 5th and 6th of June on the axis of Scorpio, Taurus, which is your 8th, 2nd houses axis. Not very auspicious for relationship with family members. You may experience some slowdown there, and also financially, not very, very auspicious financial period for the period of approximately a month after the eclipse. But luckily, the most important axis of the angular houses is not afflicted for you. And then you're having partial solar happening on 21st of June on your 9th house. Could locally to bit and block your travels abroad, relationship, communication with people abroad, but only that, not more. Can enhance your spirituality, like bring you some depth. And then we're having a partial lunar eclipse 4th and 5th of July, the same axis, Sagittarius, Gemini. And then again, partial lunar 29th, 30th of November on the axis again of your 8th second house is Taurus, Scorpio. Again, a bit of financial delay is possible. And finally, in December 14th, we're having the total eclipse of the sun, which is happening on your second house. So second house is just delayed a little bit. Now, don't worry so much. As I say, these eclipses are definitely not afflicting you directly, because no axis of your personal importance, like the axis of the ascendant, descendant, midheaven, lower meridian. Of course, if you have sun or moon in these particular axes of Gemini, Sagittarius, Scorpio, Taurus, you may experience a little bit the affliction of the eclipses, but we are immune. Eclipses happen all the time. Don't worry. Just don't watch the eclipses. Be very spiritual, very connected with the spirit world, and then you will experience only good events into your life. Now, this was my general reading for people with Ascendant Libra for the year of 2020. I wish a very spiritual, very harmonious year to come. And your comments are very welcome.